Hi, this is Kathleen from Sunny Mountain Patterns, and I am going to show you a review that Branalyn and Dailey from Dailey Sews Stuff has done for me to show my projector pattern, specifically my adventure backpack pattern, and to show how easy I've set it up. I'm actually doing this Adventure Toddler backpack, and I have a few changes from what the version she has. So I've grouped all the batting together. I like to do this for all of my patterns now, to group all of the fabric types, so lining versus facing. So it's easy to cut out, so you don't have to switch back and forth. And then I've also started to mirror my pieces where the center line is shown, which you'll see in one of the notes I put in, so that you can choose if you want to cut on fold or if you want to unfold everything and cut one whole piece. I also have how many pieces are cut together for most of my patterns, where if it's cut 2, they're grouped together. If it's only cut 1, they're grouped together. But those are the updates as compared with what Branalyn has. I'm hoping that you can see how much work has gone into this and how much thought for ease of use for the end user that's being the sewer. Not only that, we have some exciting news, and the reason why Branalyn was doing this swap video, I actually did a video for her on how to do some very small amounts of grading in Inkscape for projector patterns. The reason why we're doing this is because Branalyn and I are actually coming out with a new podcast, and the podcast is called the Small Business Sewing Podcast. It's geared towards sewers who run small businesses, or makers, any type of makers that make handmade items who want to run a business. We cover a lot of topics. We've had some very good guests on for season 1. So it's coming out March 2nd, which is this Tuesday, which is why we're releasing the videos out today. So if you want to check out Branalyn's channel, it's Dailey Sews Stuff. I will have a link below, and I'll have the link to the backpack pattern itself, as well as a link to the backpack tutorial that I have made.
So as I'm sure Kathleen told you, my name is Branalyn Dailey from Dailey Sews Stuff, and I am here to tell you about how awesome Kathleen's projector patterns are. She asked on the Projectors for Sewing group what to do and took the feedback beautifully and just has some amazing projector patterns. And I want to tell you how well they are made and why you should be buying from Sunny Mountain Patterns. So I'm going to start by opening and showing that she has layers. Now I'm showing you the Adventure Toddler backpack. It's really clear and easy to see that right here. And so it doesn't actually have sizes, it's just the one size, but you will see that on a clothing garment, there would be sizes. I'm going to click on the inches calibration marks and turn that on, so I can show you that over here, she has a built-in projector calibration grid, so you can make sure that you are doing just fine with your calibration. Mine's slightly wonky sideways, but it's fine, we're good. So, and you can leave that on, it's just over there off to the side, but you can also turn it off with this. You can turn off registration marks, but if you don't want the quilting lines to show up, but there's no reason to do that, you can turn on a black layer. This is helpful if you really need to see on something dark, but what we want, and I'm going to put it back to my zoom. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about with any of these things, I have a ton of stuff about projector sewing over on my channel, Dailey Sews Stuff, and I explain all about calibration and zoom percentages and all of those things that might be totally new to you. So, all right, that's one of the awesome things. You can also turn labels on and off, but that's kind of silly because you kind of want to be able to see what you're doing. And then you also get these checks within the pattern pieces just to make sure you're on the right track. All right, so, oh, and here's another one right here. The big one is 2x2, and the small one I think is 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters. That is a little bit small and hard to read, but almost everything has got this big, beautiful, bold print that is really easy to see. Adventure Toddler backpack, super easy to see. My seam allowance is right there. It's got notions listed for what I'll need, and the pattern piece direction, scrolling down, which was a great addition because a lot of companies do it scrolling to the side, and I tried that the first time, and then I saw this note and was like, oh, that was really, thanks. And then she's got a key here for any marks that she might use in her patterns, which is also very handy. So if we go over here to the pattern piece itself, and you can also see that there's a ton of white space around the edges, which is amazing because if you want to move and put something exactly on your fabric, then you can move this anywhere you want to. Even though this is the first pattern piece, I can put it all the way in that corner or all the way in that corner. No big deal. Before I go any further, I'm gonna make my computer go to full screen. So all we'll see is the pattern. I don't need to do any sort of notations or commenting on this pattern, so not gonna worry about that. Something that I can do if I wanted to have my pattern going the other way, or if my fabric was going that way and it was a directional print and I wanted to, I could rotate clockwise, and then I always rotate clockwise again and again so that this is the top for me. And then I could go this way. Now the only problem with that is that my text would also be sideways, but I mean, it's really not a big deal to turn my body slightly and read that. However, I'm gonna keep it right side up. All right, so to cut this, you've got the batting, and she's telling you you're just gonna cut the batting. This is just batting, which is super handy to have that written, and it's so easy to read. And then front and back, cut two from lining. Like just, it says right here in huge print, so there's no missing it, and then it says it right here. Especially if there's ever any confusion about, wait, was this the right thing? Yes, because this says it's front and back, this says it's front and back. So that's perfect, that's super helpful. And all the way down, it just has all of these amazing, helpful hints. There is a cut on fold right here. This is kind of a longer piece, but I believe that's the only cut on fold. And if you do not want to cut on fold, something that you can do is just measure it. So right here I can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.5 inches this way, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches that way. So I could just get a ruler out and cut that hole. And then right down here it will tell you when you reach the end, pattern finished. Oh my gosh, guys, like so helpful. So let me grab some fabric and I will show you how easy it is to use this pattern. I'm gonna set my mouse away from my fabric because I have more than once nudged the mouse with my fabric and really frustrated myself. I'm gonna start with batting. I don't have the super thick batting that she recommends. She recommends 1/2 inch thick batting. And what I did when I made my daughters was I just doubled this thin quilting batting, and that worked fine enough for us. So I'm just gonna smooth this down. I do have sheet metal attached to my cutting board, and so I can use magnets to hold it down. I find that batting is really kind of sticky enough that it's not necessary. So I've got my rotary cutter. Now something I am going to do, because this is a lot of straight pieces, and I find it really nice and easy when cutting a lot of straight pieces, to grab a ruler and just let that help me keep straight. It also helps hold your fabric down. So up here, even though I'm not going to use the ruler, I'm just going to place it here to help me hold my fabric down a little bit. Actually, I think I need it on the outside more than the inside. Did I get that whole way through? Whew, and who can tell that I need a new rotary blade? My goodness, that should have gone through without a problem. All right, here we go. One more time. There we go. So, cut one, and I did. It's just doubled. All right, so I'm gonna grab some fabric and cut the next pieces. So, my kids all have their favorite colors, and I like to color code things by their favorite colors because it helps me keep track of whose stuff is whose. And so my youngest really likes this kind of teal blue, turquoisey blue. Let's see, I want to be going this way. So this is going to be cut 2 front and back, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it on the fold so that I'm cutting 2 at once. But I don't actually want my piece all the way to the fold because I don't want them connected. You can see my hand just got in my own way a little bit there, and that's fine. I'll just come at it from this other direction and meet up where I cut. And I'm gonna grab my weights, my magnets to use as weights, because this quilting cotton is not as sticky as the batting was. Oh my goodness. Who could have tested her blade before she started this video, huh? So that was 2 from the self fabric, and I'm going to grab this coordinating fabric. I actually made my girls' dresses out of this. The youngest wore this one, and the middle child wore this one. It was to my cousin's wedding, and they were very cute in their little matching dresses. I hope the middle child is not angry that I've used this for the youngest child's backpack. She got hers in pink though. She likes pink and purple and all the girly colors. The middle child does. The youngest one is a little more of a tomboy, and she loves blues. I grab my magnets. You see my motley assortment here. These 2 super strong magnets, and then some less strong ones. But they all get the job done. And I usually have to search for them because my children love to play with the magnets. That was much easier to cut, although that blade is still not doing a great job. I've got 2 out of my self fabric and 2 out of my lining. Before I move on and scroll the pattern, I'm going to take a minute to go ahead and mark these on the fabric. I only need it on one piece of the main fabric. And I like to use these friction pins, and I know there is a lot of controversy about them in the sewing world. But I live in Texas where it's hot, not cold, and so I have never had a problem with the ink coming back after being outside or anything like that. So I'm not worried about it. And this isn't something like a wedding dress or something that I would need to be super careful about. I did the hearts exactly as laid out like this for my older girls, my middle child's backpack. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go ahead and do them just like this for this one, or I might go a little rogue and choose a different pattern to quilt onto it. For my oldest, for my son, I'm definitely going to choose something else because he would not like the hearts so much. Child is obsessed with the letter H because that's what her name starts with. Maybe I should just quilt a bunch of H's all over it. Now, if you watch the video where Kathleen puts this together, she tells you that she is not a quilter and she hasn't ever quilted, and so she says anybody can do it, and that's absolutely true. Like, it's super easy to follow this design on your sewing machine if you've never quilted. I have quilted quite a bit though, and so I feel a little more confident if I go a little rogue. We will see what I end up doing for her in the end, but this is really easy to erase if I decide not to use it. So this is now all done. I'm going to move on to the next piece. I just scroll down again. Cut one from the bottom from the lining. So I'm going to use this. I'll go ahead, just trace this really fast. And I can quilt this from the lining or the self fabric. If you're worried about your marking showing, mark the lining and then quilt it from that side, and it won't be a problem at all. Just make sure that your bobbin and your needle threads are the same thread, and then you won't have any problems. So I'm going to cut one from lining. Whoa, one from lining as directed. I need that ruler over here. Right side of this fabric, and I'm having no trouble seeing the pattern lines. Kathleen does a great job of doing really thick pattern lines. If you have a super busy fabric though, and it's just not working for you, you can always try using the wrong side of your fabric. That's usually a lot easier to project onto, because it's just a little more muted, a little less busy. Scroll down again and we come back to another batting. So I'm going to grab my batting again. And remember, this is a cut one, but I'm using very thin batting. So I'm going to go ahead and double my batting as I cut, just so that it will be nice and thick for the stiffness that will be needed for this. So as I go down, I would just continue to follow the directions that are so nicely written in both places, and make sure that I cut out every single piece that I needed. And then I would be ready to follow the tutorial, that's another video on this channel, and put it all together. These are excellent patterns. You definitely need to check out these are excellent projector patterns. You definitely need to check out projector patterns from Sunny Mountain Patterns so that you can see what an excellent projector file looks like.